Our last speaker for tonight is Professor Heather Ferguson. Professor Ferguson is an associate professor of Ottoman and Middle East history at Claremont McKenna College, where she has taught since 2011. She completed her PhD from UC Berkeley and held a 2-year postdoctorate position at Stanford University with the Abbasi Program of Islamic Studies. Her research focuses broadly on comparative early modern empire and legal and urban transformation around the Mediterranean. We're especially pleased to have her return to our Jalsa again this year in light of the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, and we welcome her to share a few thoughts.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you once again for inviting me to participate in this celebratory moment of community building through a shared vision of peace and oneness. I want to note that I am wearing a kufiya in Gaza's colors, and I want to dedicate my remarks tonight to the people of Gaza and to the people of the Sudan. As you heard, I am now a professor of Middle East and Ottoman history at Claremont McKenna College, where our keynote speaker graduated from, and my presence is perhaps a testament to the enduring power of education and community instilled in all of us at Claremont McKenna College. Last year, I talked about the challenges of teaching in a world forever changed by the events of October 7, 2023. But I expect none of us imagined we would find ourselves here together once again, and at the dawn of 2025, continuing to bear witness to a landscape of utter devastation, ripped apart by conflict that is crossing regions and even continents. For 3 semesters now, which means 6 classes and almost 120 students, I have walked into my classroom carrying an immense responsibility to help my students find glimmers of peace and compassion in a world that seems to endlessly embrace militarism, death, and divisiveness. Though the titles of classes these students, unwittingly perhaps, enroll in might be things like Crusading Mentalities, Travel and Encounter, the graphic novel and Middle East history, or Muhammad to the Mongols, my ever more urgent goal is to help students develop the ability to reach across differences and across hostilities, to recognize the human and thus the humanity of all. This may sound abstract and idealistic, but as each of you who came together tonight well know, embracing humanity can also be an active stance and a daily practice. For me, as a history professor, it means leading students through the written voices and material artifacts created by individuals in places they may have never traveled to, or, please don't gasp, may not even be able to identify on a map. Yet, this experience of hearing past voices and visually exploring historical artifacts forever alters their understanding of what it means to be human in the world, and thus what it means to recognize the humanity of others. This is, of course, only possible if students take a leap of faith and trust me and each other to build a classroom space where we can be vulnerable, humble, and thus open to learning new things. Our shared goal is to recognize that the study of past lives and voices can also be a method for navigating our contemporary worlds. Together, over the 15 weeks of a semester, we weave the incredible diversity of the past into a present that seems intent on binaries and on a two-sides approach to the key conflicts and controversies facing us. But the richness of past lives serves as a constant reminder to avoid flattening the present into easy categories. While I was preparing my comments for today and reflecting on the all-important theme, fostering compassion and peace in times of conflict, I was startled to remember that over this past year and a half, I have started every class off with a poem by Palestinian-American poet Naomi Shihab Nye, titled Kindness. Let me pause here to bring a few lines from that poem into this room and contemplate how they affirm the importance of compassion in the midst of conflict. Shihab Nye writes, "Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, all this must go, so you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness." The students always pause on this phrase, how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. I think now, how desolate is a world evacuated of kindness? The poem continues to note that we also cannot know kindness until we have traveled to bear witness to the last breath of a human who seems distant from us. But if we pause to seek and stop to notice, we come to discover this individual shares our own hopes and dreams. I'll conclude with the last stanza of the poem that, if you allow me, I would like to read in full. She writes, "Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows, and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to gaze at bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, 'It is I you have been looking for,' and then goes with you everywhere, like a shadow or a friend." And there, students pause again. They sift through the lines, and every single time, every semester, every class, they come up with this: kindness allows us to recognize the other in ourselves. I started off by saying I'm a professor at Claremont McKenna College, and many of the sentences above include phrases like "I teach" or "my students." But honestly, I learn anew from them, day after day, semester after semester, what it means to be human, to see the world with kindness, to embrace compassion, and to insist together that we can build a different world, a world of justice, if we just lift up our heads enough to pause, bear witness, see with kindness, and find the other in ourselves. Thank you for the honor of being with you this evening.